Financialization is a really dangerous trend that, we've all heard of privatization and all the dangers that come with that. Financialization, I call it the finance curse, is like a step further. It's the next level up. It's like privatization on steroids. If I could have the first image here that kind of sums up the finance curse in a picture, is that available there? Okay, so this is just a graph. This is the only image I'm going to show you. We all need finance. When you have no finance at all, you can't do much in your economy. And so countries, this graph shows that countries that grow their financial sector up to a point, it'll do their economies good. It'll make spread prosperity, and it'll help people do things they need to do, save for retirement or finance small businesses or whatever. But you get up to an optimal point where if you go above this optimal point, and if finance keeps growing, it starts to damage overall prosperity, overall welfare, overall economic growth. So lots of countries, my country, the United Kingdom, passed to this point probably sometime in the 1980s. The financial sector kept growing, and the financial sector has now started damaging the economy of the United Kingdom. There are several reasons why this happens, but the big reason that I really want to talk about and focus on today is what you might call extraction. This is really the heart of the finance curse, the heart of financialization. So when I say extraction, what I mean that is financial actors going into parts of the economy, in this case, the care sector, but lots of other parts of the economy affected by the same tools, the same techniques. And they go in and they do financial engineering. They buy up a company, a private equity firm, for example, will buy up a company, and then it will financially engineer this company for profit in order to suck wealth out. They're not putting investment in to make it work better or to build new things. They're using financial tricks to get the wealth, to suck the wealth out. And who pays the price? The people inside the sectors that are being financialized and the wider economy. So I've got very little time, so I'll just give one example. Private equity is a classic sector that specializes in this. What they generally do is they will get a pot of money, they will use that pot and buy up a company. Maybe it's a company that's got 100 care homes in the UK or Australia or Brazil, wherever. They will buy up this company, and then they will look at all the different stakeholders of that company and will say, right, we need to shake all of these stakeholders down. We're going to shake them down and extract wealth from them. So they'll look at the tax authorities and say, right, this company hasn't run its affairs through tax havens enough yet. Let's set up a tax haven structure. So they do that and they escape paying tax, and they've extracted wealth from the tax authorities. Then they say, right, the workers here are getting too good a deal. So let's crush the unions. Let's cut pay and conditions. Let's make life harder. Let's reduce the number of workers, make them work harder, make them work longer hours on lower pay. More profits are sucked out of the company. Costs go down, more profits for the owners. The really big, a potentially even bigger game than that is debt, because it cascades down to all the other stakeholders as well. They will borrow huge amounts of money, but the way they do it is really dangerous, because they force the company that they bought to borrow that money. The moguls, I'm the rich person, I force the company that I bought to borrow, let's say $100 million. That $100 million, I get them to pay it straight up to me, and I spend it on champagne or castles or racehorses or whatever I want to. But that $100 million now is the debt of the company. I'm no longer responsible for that debt. The way I've set it up means that I don't have to pay that back myself. This is free money for me. It's the workers, it's the carers inside that company who are now going to have to work to pay off that $100 million of extra debt that they had just got up through this financial engineering. So they are using these tricks and techniques to make life much harder for people. People in the sector have to work harder under worse conditions in order to make these people rich. There's nothing productive, there's nothing useful, there's nothing beneficial about any of this. It is pure extraction. And that for me is the kind of dark heart of the privatization that we've seen in the care sector and so many other sectors. It's a bit like tax havens being, I'm a specialist in tax havens as well. And tax havens for me are kind of the dark heart of the global economy. And I think financialization, this kind of extractive behavior is the dark heart of privatization. And we really need to focus in on this and figure out ways to stop it and stop the enormous power of finance. And this model, as I've said, is used in sector after sector. You will find it in airlines, you'll find it in shoe manufacturing, in pizza restaurants, in agriculture, cheerleading, any sector you can think of. There are people out there, as long as there's cash flows flowing around in these industries, these financiers will be looking at them and say, right, let's buy that up, financially engineer it, and extract money. And it's the workers and taxpayers and others in those sectors that are going to have to pay the price of these people getting very rich indeed. Of course, the extraction has, as was mentioned in the video, it has very powerful regional dimensions, because regional and international dimensions, because this wealth is extracted from either poor countries or poor regions within countries and sent to a bunch of generally white middle-aged men in rich financial centers or offshore. It obviously has powerful gender dimensions because particularly in the care sector, as we know. It has powerful racial dimensions. In every dimension you can think of, vulnerable groups are the ones being extracted from, and it is privileged people in financial centers like the City of London or Wall Street who are the beneficiaries.